I think by now everybody must be very tired of listening to so many expert speakers, but never mind, what is to be done has to be done. The topic for the day is Control-Alt-Delete. I don't feel any emotional attachment with the title because I am born pre-computers. So, as an individual, there is no emotional attachment. But as a writer, yes, there is a psychological relationship. The control button makes me aware that I have the keyboard in my control. But not all the alphabets and all the numbers and the exclamations on the keyboard can control my pace or my thoughts. The alt is attractive because it offers options. But again, not all the options suggested by the command can provide me with content, because I conceive my content, I create my content, and I project my content. The delete, I think, is there as a facilitator and also for aesthetics, because every time we write an inappropriate line or a paragraph, it immediately helps us to erase it and makes us feel good about a clean copy. But I was comfortable even in the olden days with my foolscape paper, the smell of the ink, and just a scratch to delete what I wanted, and continued on the same paper. And out of the chaos of that foolscape sheet produced, I think, beauty. The point I'm making is that life is not a computer. Thank you, the right time to find a chair. Life is not a computer. And we cannot control our journeys because our journey depends on our circumstances. We cannot be assured of the options that are going to come our way in building a career because the options will depend on our destinies. And we certainly cannot delete what happens in our day-to-day lives. At the most, we can rephrase it or maybe exercise damage control. But delete, certainly not. So my experience says that only two loyal companions walk with you your entire life. And those are your instinct and your intent. And if your instinct and your intent are right, then nothing goes wrong. And if it goes wrong, then you admit the wrong and you move ahead and you learn your life's lessons. 45 years ago, I stumbled into the show business without ever having any desire for it. There was no journalist in the family. I had no writer as a model. I had no ambitions in life to forget about a career or to even be a working woman. I was the youngest in the family, and I never wanted to be a working woman because I felt that if I start working, I'll make mistakes and I'll be corrected, I'll be reprimanded, and I'll be scolded, and I was not used to all that. I wrote for my college magazine. My brother read what I had written and said, you know, you can write. I mean, actually write. I don't think I paid attention. My parents showed us movies, and I knew that I liked movies, and I knew that I liked to write. And I didn't even know that there was a career that offered a combination of both called film journalism. A friend's father was bringing out a magazine. She recommended I join him. The magazine operated from a garage with a broken table which rested on a brick, and tea was served in a broken teacup. And uncle said, you know, one day our magazine will be so big that people will come and offer you money under the table. So I looked under the table, and I looked up again at him, and I said, how much do you think they will offer? Because I had never heard that phrase before. My salary was 100 rupees. And my confusion was, how do I spend so much money? Because we were given no pocket money coming from a middle-class home. Wherever I had to go, my mother gave me some money that she thought was sufficient to travel by the bus. And I was happy. There were no deprivations. And there were no complexities. There were no unreachable dreams or desires. We were just happy, just being with the family. I don't know how I hopped from one magazine to another. From 100 rupees, it became 500 rupees, then it became 1,000 rupees. And my mother was certain that all these publishers were frauds because she never saw any talent in her daughter. And I think my parents secretly hoped that it was a passing phase and I would settle down for a more respectable profession like law, because I was pursuing my master's in law at that time. I specialize in criminology. I was doing law college in the morning and working in some magazines as freelancer and doing journalism diploma in the evening. The show business was a complete contrast from the middle class home I came from or the values I had got from my parents. Everything that was a taboo home was in excess. Sometimes I did not even get the signals of things going wrong. As long as I was safe and I followed my parents' advice, I was all right. I think God protected me. But there were many lessons to learn. Yes, there was shame and scandal. Yes, there were many things inappropriate in this world. But there were also ready-made jars of intensities. They were extremely talented, and they had a heart of gold. It was up to you to see the right picture and embrace those people and again, enrich your personality. From a reporter, I became correspondent, then I became an assistant editor, and before I knew it, my publisher one day came to me and said that I'm making you the editor of the magazine. I was just becoming 30 at that time. I went home and told my mother that my publisher doesn't know. He's making me an editor and I know nothing. I just know to write. So my mother said, I hope you said no. I said, yeah. I said, I'll just tell you tomorrow. In the morning, my mother woke up and said, I think you should not say no. You say yes, you are known as a writer, though I don't think that you know much to write, but within 3 months they'll discover that you don't know editing, so they'll throw you out of the job, but you will have a bank balance and you make an FD out of that, because my salary was going to be threefold. So I went to my publisher and I said, okay, if you think I can do it, I will give my best shot, but I don't know if I'm good at it. My mother and I were prepared that I was going to be thrown out of the job in 3 months, but that didn't happen. I went from one magazine to another, even launched magazines and put dead magazines to life again, like Indian Express's Film Weekly Screen. The thing about show business is that you can be a struggler all your life and knock on doors, ventilators, and windows, but nothing will open for you if you're not meant for it. But if you get in, and if you are talented, you can try as much as you want. You can't get out of it, because this is a one-way street. I fantasized, my parents fantasized that I was going to leave journalism or show business within a few months, within a few years. But years galloped by, and now when I look back, I cannot believe that I've been here for 45 years. It's because I started young while I was in college, and because I was ready to embrace life and adventurous, that I marched these steps. And I was blessed to work with one editor who nurtured me, who sensed my sensitivity and sent me on assignments that he thought would be appropriate for me. When I found some heroes loud, aggressive, flashily dressed, I told him I will not interview these guys, I will not meet them. And he didn't force me. I remember I was very young and he sent me to Rajesh Khanna, who is considered the most difficult, temperamental superstar Hindi cinema has ever witnessed. And his assistant told him, how can you send her? She's so young, he will eat her raw. And he said, no. Throw her to the lion when she's young. If she survives Rajesh Khanna, she will survive show business. It was the first time since my college days when I had started working that I didn't have a job. For some time, I enjoyed myself. But later on, the depression hit me. Because a creative person cannot be idle. Also, money is important. And almost a year later, I got a call from, before I say I got a call from, I want to tell my young friends, my students, that job, love, or money never comes from where you are expecting. It always comes from a surprise factor. So always be open to strangers, to voices, to an unregistered number on your telephone, because out of this, one is going to open the Pandora box for you, or the treasure box for you. Big FM channel called up and said, okay, would you do reviews for us on radio? And since I had nothing else to do, I said yes. I went to the studio and they said, have you seen Pa? And I said yes. So they said, okay, we start with Pa review. I did the review and I came back. Within 15 minutes, I was called by the studio again, back to the studio. I said, what happened? They said, Madam, आपने English में किया है review, और हमारा channel तो हिंदी belt का है, 47 stations है, अंग्रेजी नहीं चलेगी, आपको हिंदी में करना पड़ेगा. I was not comfortable in Hindi at all at that time. I didn't know the script. I didn't know which was Badi E, Choti E, Bada U, Chota U. These were things I had left at school. And I don't come from a Hindi-speaking family, so nobody spoke in Hindi at home. The Bombaya Hindi is not what the stations are looking for. They are expecting refined Hindi, perfect dialect, perfect diction. I think the engineer was so disappointed, he told my CEO, she has a radio voice, but her Hindi, her pronunciations are just not working. Because there's something like a matra bindu jisko pronounce ठीक तरह से करना पड़ता है. I expected them to tell me that, okay, this will not work. But my CEO said that, I will gamble on you. I think you're going to make a great broadcaster someday. I was without a job. I could not hire a Hindi tutor, so I started watching Hindi news. And I only watched Hindi news, and to whoever I met, wherever I met, I only spoke in Hindi, so that my Hindi was getting improved. And I was in the bargain watching, hearing, registering, absorbing their pronunciations. आज ये हाल है कि जहाँ भी मैं जाती हूँ तो कहते हैं कि मगर कुछ तो हिंदी में बोलिए जैसे आप रेडियो में बोलते हो. I was given 1 show, 2 shows, 3 shows. Today I have settled for 2 shows. Then came COVID, and I was approached by Epilogue Media to start a show on the podcast. I said, I know nothing about podcast. They said, we are there. We'll guide you. I said, okay, it's your problem. I'll deliver what you ask me to. So I embraced podcast. When I got Padma Shri, I had not framed the certificate they gave me, and a friend of mine said, you cannot be so arrogant. You have to put up the Padma Shri. It's the highest honor. So I had given it to a frame wala who refused to take money, by the way, for the framing, and he said, okay, it's my honor to frame it for you. But he had not reached the shop the day I had to go and collect it. And there in the same building, I could hear the dance beats of somebody learning dance. And just to kill time, I walked into that class, and the teacher was taking a trial class with senior citizens and teaching them Bharatanatyam. So she saw me and she said, why don't you join in? I said, no, I'm just watching. She said, but if you're watching and waiting, you can just try. So I tried, and when I was leaving, she said, you have it in you to be a dancer. I will give you private training. I said, my job is very demanding. I cannot afford another passion. She said, try it for 3 months. If you don't like it, or if it doesn't work, you cannot accommodate, give it up. It's 5 years now. I started learning when I was 62, and I'm still learning dance. I am grateful for having the parents I did, for giving me the values they did. Whatever I am is because of them, for giving me the freedom to make my choices, and for believing in myself. My last word to all you students is, be yourself. The teachers, the parents, the friends are just there to facilitate you. Eventually, you have to listen to your voice. And your voice is different from your best friends or your girlfriends. So just follow your heart, and everything will fall into place. And even if it doesn't, like life cannot be a bed of roses, it's okay. Pause, ponder, revive, reinvent, and move on. Thank you.